Hello, I'm Leanne Jones and a warm welcome to Media Week. Ahead on the program, the competition watchdog greenlighting a newspaper takeover on the West Coast. We'll hear from ACCC Chairman Rod Sims. Plus, Southern Cross renews its AFL radio rights deal. We'll have more on those stories and more coming up. But first, it's a sector that's proving the digital revolution isn't always a negative for the traditional media, the outdoor advertising space. The latest numbers from Move show a 2.8% increase in out-of-home audiences over the past year, marking the 6th successive year of growth. For more, I'm very pleased to say I'm joined by Charmaine Muldrich, CEO of the Outdoor Media Association and Move. Charmaine, great to see you there. Thanks very much for joining us this afternoon.
Hi Leanne, lovely to be here.
Now Charmaine, Move has announced the findings from its 2016 data update just this week, showing the 6th successive year of audience growth there for the industry that we mentioned. Tell us a little bit more about some of those key statistics.
So this year our audiences grew by 2.8%, and if you look at population growth, it's over-indexing to population growth. So population growth in the last year, according to the ABS, is 2%. Over the last 6 years, population growth has been 13%, and our cumulative audience growth has been 20%. So we're over-indexing by about 7% in the last 6 years.
Now, your research, I was taking a look at, tells us that 9 out of 10 Australians leave home each day, and that when people leave their homes, their primal instincts kick in. Take us through what you mean by that, and more importantly, what that actually means for advertisers.
So we know from ABS data and Move data that most people today will leave home. 9 out of 10 Australians leave home, and that's from various sources of data. What we also have done then with that data is to see how people react when they're outside the home. So we recently did some biometric research which showed us that people, when they're outside, their primal instincts kick in. So they're more alert, they're more willing to take in messages, they're looking around, they're interacting with their environment. So what we found was that they were 2 times more alert when they were out of home, and 2.5 times more alert than when they were inside on a small screen.
You say obviously it's very important to measure sort of people's mind states within their natural environments. What do you use to actually make sure that you capture an accurate reading on the level of arousals both inside and outside of the home?
So the research that we used was a skin conductive research tool with eye tracking glasses, and apparently from what the researchers tell us, and it uses neuroscience techniques, is that your skin doesn't lie. So whatever is happening in your skin, that conductivity does something to your brain, and they're mapping what you're looking at, what your skin is telling you, and also what is happening in your brain.
Now, I guess there's no question that out of home is the channel to be watching for the foreseeable future. I'm sure that you would agree with that.
Yes.
How is technology enhancing the medium in ways that give it an edge over, say, other media channels?
Yeah, I suppose the technology piece for us is really interesting because with other traditional media channels, technology has really disrupted the model, whereas with us, it hasn't really disrupted our model. You know, we're still high visibility, high engagement, cost-effective medium. So our traditional brand values, I suppose, haven't gone away. What we have done is added to those values. So the digital revolution has allowed us to add flexibility, so advertisers can day part using our digital inventory. It's added immediacy, so we can actually put a message on now on a digital panel the moment the advertiser wants it to happen. And for cities, it's offering utility. So we're able to broadcast to citizens as well as messages about what's happening in a city, about bus timetabling, about train timetabling. So it's kind of extended the brand values and added to it in a market that's usually quite disrupted by digital.
A lot of that is coming out of recent findings from a new state-of-the-art biometric research study, I believe. And as you mentioned, their consumers are out of the home 2 times more alert and likely to act than inside the home. That was one of the messages that came out of that report. What else interesting, other interesting points that came out of that research report?
I suppose the other interesting point is that how people react to screens. So, you know, we're all kind of a little bit obsessed with our screens, aren't we? But what we're finding is that when people are looking at their screens, they're not as alert and not as open to receiving messages and to act on those messages.
All right, fantastic. Charmaine, it's been so interesting talking to you today. Really appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Leanne.
Charmaine Moldrich joining us there. Let's move on. Merger moves in the Western Australian media market, with the ACCC greenlighting Seven West Media's bid to take over the Sunday Times and perthnow.com.au from News Corp. For more on the potential implications, I spoke with ACCC Chairman Rod Sims.
In the end, after a lot of analysis and a lot of feedback, we felt that there probably was still enough WA-focused aggregated media content. Yes, this is a reduction from 2 to 1 in terms of newspapers, but the other online sites, particularly the Fairfax site and the ABC site, would still provide enough variation, enough diversity of opinion for those interested in WA-focused content, because that's really what this was about, the reduction in diversity, the diversity of views for people interested in WA-focused content.
So you don't have any concerns at all that Seven West Media will hold a monopoly on some of those major newspapers in the state?
Well, we took into account, of course, that in Adelaide and Brisbane there's only one newspaper already. That doesn't tell you a lot, but it tells you something. Print circulation is declining, so we had to look at what would the world be like with and without this merger. Obviously, Sunday Times is a one-day-a-week paper, is suffering a decline in circulation, and you have to think about how that will affect them over time, given they're only publishing one day a week, yet they've got the infrastructure that they need in place for it to produce a newspaper. Seven West, or the West Australian, is on the other 6 days a week. They argued this would make them stronger and make sure that print survives in WA. So a complex issue, but clearly we were concerned about the reduction in print from 2 to 1. And of course, Seven West and the Sunday Times own the two main WA online aggregated websites for WA material, and that worried us a lot. But in the end, we looked at the Fairfax WA Today, the ABC's WA-focused online site, and really they're not that far behind. So we saw this pretty much as 4 players going to 3 in terms of diversity of opinion.
Now, Rod, I note that there was a fair bit of feedback and criticism, I suppose, about the deal. There are a number of concerns raised by businesses who advertise in Western Australian newspapers. Some suggested that it would lead to significant job losses. Also noting that WA Premier Colin Barnett spoke out against the deal, saying that he would prefer it not to go ahead to help preserve media diversity in WA, which is what you were alluding to earlier. How did all of this play into your decision? No doubt you were in touch with those various parties to address those concerns.
Yeah, absolutely. Just taking on the advertisers first, when we first went into this, there were a lot of people, well, an important minority of people is probably what I'd say, who were concerned, saying, look, we only advertise in print. We can play off Seven West or the West Australian against the Sunday Times now. If this merger goes ahead, we can't. We'll lose our leverage. Over time, when we dug into that more, we talked to them more, we found that really most people advertising on print were also advertising elsewhere. So we really took the view that over time, that those people will be able to argue to Seven West, you put up your rates and we will actually go away from print to other alternatives. So we don't think Seven West will put up its advertising rates. We think they feel the pressure from non-print advertisers, and of course once they lose them, they've lost them for good, or at least that's the concern they would have. So the more we dealt into the advertising issue, the more we felt that that really wasn't going to see an increase in rates. Going to the Premier's comments and those of other consumers, we very much understood the loss of diversity. I guess the point we'd make is you've got a WA-focused organisation in Seven West with the West Australian. You'll still have Fairfax, you'll still have ABC, and by the way, you'll still have news.com.au. So most cities around the country have news.com.au, they have Fairfax, they have the ABC in terms of aggregated news sites. You'll still have that in WA. So yes, there's a reduction in competition for WA-focused sites, but really there's a lot of other players out there.
Just around the advertisers, because advertising expenditure in print newspaper in Perth is already in steep decline, as you're alluding to. They acknowledge that they have to find those alternative ways of reaching their target audiences, including via digital media.
Well, that's right, you see. So as you know, we were aware of that print advertising was in decline, but we were getting presented with an argument that said there's a small core, an important core, that just advertises on print and they'd be in trouble. Well, as I say, the more we got into that, the more we found that that really wasn't quite the case, that just about everybody was advertising print as well as digitally, and so I think they can play one against the other and make sure that Seven West doesn't take advantage of the fact that they're now the only print option. I think Seven West would be aware that with print advertising declining, the last thing they can do is try and jack up their rates.
Now, once this acquisition goes ahead, I mean, do you expect to see more mergers and acquisitions in the sector? Obviously, media reform is still lingering in the background and Labor's calling for another inquiry, but are you expecting a lot more change across the sector?
I think there'll be some, but not a lot, is my answer to that. I mean, WA is an unusual market because you've got this WA-only newspaper player with the WA-only website. So that's unusual. As I say, post the merger, the newspaper market will be the same as it is in Adelaide and Brisbane anyway. I think if the merger laws go through, clearly getting rid of the 75% rule will see some of the smaller TVs, stations, the regional ones link up with the city ones. That's something we'll look at, but you know, you'd expect some of that to happen. If the 2 out of 3 rule goes, you might see a bit of consolidation, possibly between some print and TV. But I don't see a hell of a lot. I mean, we'll be watching very carefully. We think diversity of opinion is a key element of competition here, and we will be really trying to assess that. So I think there'll be some consolidation, and that's probably not a bad thing in the sense that Australian media is competing with international media these days, so a little bit of consolidation might just strengthen the position of the Australia-focused players, and as I say, that's probably good for Australian consumers, but we will be watching to make sure it doesn't get below a critical mass. So I don't think there's any signals here for us ever allowing, say, News to get together with Fairfax or something like that. I think we'll be making sure that there's enough diversity of opinion out in the marketplace.
Speaking earlier with ACCC Chairman Rod Sims. Coming up on Media Week, an AFL radio rights renewal, plus Foxtel's lifestyle channel getting a makeover. Stay with us.
Same hotel, same price? Oh, no. There are so many different prices out there all over the internet. And Trivago instantly compares them all to find your ideal hotel for the best price. Hotel Trivago.
Well, congratulations.
Yes.
You guys didn't muck around, eh?
Thanks, guys. Only took 3 weeks.
What? We've had ours on the market for 2 months.
3.
Are you guys on realestate.com.au?
With twice the visits of any property site Australia-wide, if you're not on realestate.com.au, you're not in the market. We're getting a Shih Tzu.
It's your first day on the job. Everything around you is new and unfamiliar. You've spent your entire life waiting for... No? Okay. You've waited your whole life for...
Okay, seriously. What's going on here? It's different text every time. It's different. It's different again. Look, this is insane. I'm done. I'm out. What?
Knowledge applied is power. Incredible things are created with the right knowledge. Knowledge also breeds foresight, giving strength to manage risk and make better decisions. When you choose to trade Forex with Go Markets, you'll gain access to our foresight and expert market analysis. Analysis that could help you identify potential financial risks and wait for the right opportunities. Go Markets, your first choice for Forex.
The bag! Yeah. Oh, I saw the photos. Awesome.
Well, guess what the best bit of our holiday was?
Oh, that's easy. Jim Falls.
Oh, close, but not quite.
Darwin, Kakadu.
Guess again.
The markets, the Mai Tais, the heli flights, the sea life, the romance, the pit stops, the locals, the larrikins.
Oh, you're like this close.
Gunlum Falls, the watering holes, the waterfalls, the sunsets, the peace and quiet.
Stop guessing. Start doing. It's about time you did the NT. Book now at Qantas.com.
Knowledge applied is power. Incredible things are created with the right knowledge. Knowledge also breeds foresight, giving strength to manage risk and make better decisions. When you choose to trade Forex with Go Markets, you'll gain access to our foresight and expert market analysis. Analysis that could help you identify potential financial risks and wait for the right opportunities. Go Markets, your first choice for Forex.
You think you've already found your ideal hotel? Well, before you book, check on Trivago to see if you can find it somewhere else for an even better price. Hotel Trivago.
Welcome back to the program. Making news this week, Southern Cross renewing its radio rights deal with the AFL for another 6 years. Ben LeBrun from Options Express says it's good news for the company.
I guess with media companies, live sport is a very big piece of the advertising revenue puzzle that they're trying to put together, especially when we talk about free-to-air broadcasters on TV or radio. So I think that this was a big shot in the arm for Southern Cross, at least as far as the share price went yesterday. And interestingly, the deal, the terms of the deal and the financials are actually released in their August full-year report. So the market seems very comfortable with it and renewing the relationship with the AFL ongoing and expected to be reasonably good for advertising revenues as well. So we have to give it a tick.
All right, fantastic. Now, in other news, Nine Entertainment, they're securing a majority stake in Car Advice in a deal that values the website there at more than $30 million. Certainly looks like they're expanding their presence in automotive. What did you make of this deal?
This is very, very interesting. And I think in a similar vein, I mean, we take these traditional media companies and we see what's working and what is working for traditional media companies is new media. Things online, for instance, with Fairfax and Domain, that's really the jewel in the crown. So this is not a game changer for a billion-dollar company like Nine Entertainment, but it just goes to show you they're trying to diversify their revenue streams and taking this majority stake, which will go into full ownership, 100% ownership in 3 years. Obviously trying to break into that into an emerging car sales retail online. So it was a very interesting piece of news, not a game changer for Nine, but of course those shares have been, and earnings for that matter, have been in an absolute funk. So, you know, again, trying to get away or diversify away from their traditional media, which is of course free-to-air television.
It's time now to look at the television ratings for week 37, starting off with free-to-air. You can see there the top of the list, 9 News Sunday. A lot of those news programs, 7 News in the top 5 there as well. The Block coming in second place. If we turn over the page there, 7 News Today Tonight in at number 6. Again, a lot of the news channels rounding out the top 10 right at the bottom there, Married at First Sight. Now to the subscription TV ratings, starting with sport, and it's really AFL dominating there, and NRL, they're coming in at number 5. We return to non-sport. Gogglebox over on Lifestyle coming in at the top there, The Recruit, The Simpsons rounding out the top 3. Now, we saw Gogglebox doing well there for Lifestyle, and it comes as the channels prepare to unveil a rebrand this week. Heading up the channel is Hannah Barnes. Before returning to Australia 7 years ago, she spent 15 years working for British TV broadcasters. Now, on her return, Barnes ran the programming division for Foxtel's Lifestyle channels before becoming the general manager of the 4 channels. Mediaweek editor and publisher James Manning spoke with Hannah Barnes at last week's Astra conference, where Lifestyle recommitted to more Australian programming, including I Own Australia's Best Home.
It's always sort of challenging, I think, to find a really fantastic property format that's going to work in prime time. I've been looking for a long time for something that can sit alongside Grand Designs, and the I Own format is a format that I was familiar with when I was back in the UK, and it's a format that I've never been able to forget. There's 2 reasons why I love it and why we've decided to commission it. One is because you have 3 experts who actually go and stay inside the home, so it's not just sort of property porn and looking at houses, although it really absolutely is, but it's you really get inside the home and the stories of the people that are living in there. But also it's viewer voted, so every week for the first time for Lifestyle, people will get to vote for what they think is their favourite home, and that every week we'll have a winner, and then at the end we'll have Australia's best home.
Now, your track record is pretty good when it comes to commissioning. You've been at Lifestyle, I think, 7 years.
Yes.
You've been running the channel for 2
Yes.
as general manager.
Yeah.
You commissioned Gogglebox.
Yes.
You commissioned Bake Off.
Yes.
You brought that back after it went to free-to-air for
Yes.
a season. Very successful. Is the sort of bar pretty high for Lifestyle, because more so than other channels on Foxtel? Because your ratings are analysed pretty closely, aren't they?
Look, I think the bar is really high for everyone now. It's a competitive market, and we've all got to be absolutely top of our game. For Lifestyle, look, I feel we've got a really clear strategy, which means that it's sort of, in a way, easy not to go off track. It's easy to, not easy, but it's clear to identify the formats that we want to invest in. But I think the reason why our shows are successful is because we have experts, we have real people giving advice, and our audience trusts us to deliver them really fantastic shows, and that's why they keep coming back.
Now, you're taking the opportunity of the 20th anniversary for a bit of a refresh. I think you're about to start the 20th year of Lifestyle.
Yes.
What are you doing?
So we're rebranding all 4 channels and the website as of 19th of September, so that will hit screens and outdoor. It's not just a makeover, it's a completely new look and feel for the channels. This new look and feel hasn't just come with haste. It's not something that we've just sort of done really quickly. It's taken 18 months of research and focus, and I think the thing for us was that we wanted the brand to catch up with the shows. So our strategy for our programming isn't going to change, but I really wanted to bring the joy into the way we communicate, our look and feel. We really want to release some colour, and that's what you're going to see from the 19th of September.
The channel's original content, it's always been you've held onto it very tightly. Recently, we've seen some episodes of Selling Houses Australia on free-to-air. Has that been a change of policy for you guys?
Look, I think, the lifestyle market is highly competitive. The free-to-airs have long been wanting to buy Selling Houses and some of our other shows, and Foxtel decided that it was the right decision to be able to build the brand and build the profile of our fantastic talent in Shayna, Andrew and Charlie to give it an airing on free-to-air.
How are you going in the ratings? I mean, it's only one of the measures that Foxtel's judged on, whether it's successful or not. But your channel, your sort of portfolio of 4 channels, does that compete sort of maybe with Fox Sports as the sort of premier attraction?
Look, I won't lie. Our audience love sport. Our audience is broad, and they love their sport as much as they love their lifestyle. So yes, we do compete with sport, but it's another offering. We had our highest share year to date last week across the group. Gogglebox is an absolute smash hit for lifestyle, and it's not very often you get a hit on your hands. So, you know, we're looking forward to a really strong end of year, and then next year we've got another 3 shows launching. We've got Bake Off, we've got I Own, we've got Deadline Design, and then a whole raft of new shows next year. So I'm feeling really confident that we're going to continue on as we have been.
Yeah, those local commissions, you know, bring massive audiences. Are Foxtel giving you more money for that, or have you still got to be pretty careful about how you allocate those production dollars?
Look, we're all aware of what the market's like, and absolutely we have to be careful with our money. Of course we do, but Foxtel is investing more and more in local production. Lifestyle is one of the key pillars for Foxtel. We are all very aware of the production team and all of the production partners that we work with that lifestyle programs need to look beautiful, that we can't scrimp. We've got to tell the story, and so we put that money on screen, and that's what I think you see in the productions.
That's all we have time for on Media Week. From the team here, thanks for your company.